Guys, we made it all the way up to Up Rocks, and I am very happy to be doing this video today. Up Rocks in the bigger picture, Elliot Wilson, Jeremy Hecht, and DJ Head talked about the Poetic Justice Theory on their show, and I have the clips. We're going to roll some of that. I'll react to parts that I think are very important when it comes to the Poetic Justice Theory and everything we do with this channel. I also pulled a couple of articles from Complex and Spin that I think sheds light on the Poetic Justice Theory. And we get into the Pusha T reference and an Eminem reference to Poetic Justice that went over everyone's heads. But without further ado, here is Jeremy, Elliot Wilson, and DJ Head talking about the Poetic Justice Theory.
Could this be true, and what would make it not true also?
You want me to indulge?
Please indulge, Head. Please indulge.
Yeah, just indulge for a second.
Please indulge. Oh my God, this is so ridiculous. All right. Question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This guy just gets to eat on air and shit.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Those are his mama's
These
cookies.
my mama cookies. All right.
You might be the only.
Can you tell I've seen this clip a couple of times?
I don't know if this is really a podcast, but you might be the only podcast that just snacks during the show.
That's the
Just
dream
snacks.
jobs.
Yeah.
What year did the Quentin Miller thing come out?
That was 2015.
2015.
What year
If you're
did
reading this, it's too late.
what year did King Kunta come out?
2015 as well.
Yes, it did. It did come out in 2015. And it's important to note that because part of the Poetic Justice Theory involves there being an NDA signed between not only Kendrick Lamar and members of TDE, but also through Drake's camp, because they can't have poetic justice getting out to the masses, right? So everyone in TDE, the way I look at TDE and the way I look at their relationship is it's the ultimate brotherhood. It's your ride or die boys. You're all trying to come up together. You're all involved in the same craft, and you're all helping each other get to the next part. So obviously, everyone in TDE, from Punch all the way down to Absol and Schoolboy Q and J-Rock, they all knew what Kendrick was doing on Good Kid, Mad City to Drake. They were all there in the studio. They all saw and witnessed it. So the record labels, in order to cover their tracks and in order to protect Drake, the industry darling, the one that they are investing billions of dollars in, of course they're going to make them involved in the NDA as well. So it's important that you know that element of it. And that's why DJ Head brings that up. What year did King Kunta come out? Because it's on King Kunta where Kendrick Lamar says, a rapper with a ghostwriter, what the fuck happened? And oh no, I swore I wouldn't tell, but most of y'all share bars like you got the bottom bunk in a two-man cell. Again, Kendrick does talk about the thing that happened between him and Drake. It's just in code. That's the only way he can get around and skirt the NDA. So the next clip I want to bring up, again, is from the bigger picture. And there's parts in this that I think are going to lend a lot of credence to the Poetic Justice Theory.
But is there
I'm old.
Is there anything that you would have heard about did you know anything about the ghostwriting thing before 2015?
Look at that. That is the look of someone. That is the look of someone who knows something and is searching for the right words to talk about the certain something that he knows. He looks like the cat who caught the canary.
I've never been asked this before.
And also think about that. 13 years. You know, at one point in the clip, Head talks about it. Head says, it's, nobody cares. No one's going to care. It's because it's been 13 years of a cover-up. It's been 13 years the industry has gotten involved and whacked out this man's art. And enough time has passed to where Head is assuming that people aren't going to care, but I've seen the response on this channel. I see you guys in the comments, not only on my videos, but other creators' videos. This is a big deal. This is a huge story, because had Poetic Justice just come out the way it was supposed to, hip hop has this thing where naturally it polices itself. Not only the rappers policing themselves, but the listeners policing it. The industry got involved and curbed your opinion of Drake and curbed what you thought of him to protect their investment. So I understand Head saying like no one's going to care, but with all due respect, I see your guys' comments. I think you guys do care. I think you guys care a lot. I think this is a huge story. And you guys are reacting like it is. So obviously we're going to keep talking about it.
The bigger picture up.
There were.
But think about that. It's been 13 years. DJ Head has direct access to not only Glasses Malone, but members of TDE. This is the first time he's been asked about Drake ghostwriting allegations knowing about it pre-2015. It's been 13 years since Poetic Justice.
Rumors.
Hang on, let me run it back just so we get
I've never
the
been asked.
proper context. Never been asked.
The bigger picture up.
There were
Rumors.
allegations
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
that I may or may not have been
Privy to.
to prior to. You got to remember, do you have an AI? Or no.
And I love the fact that Head does this. I love the fact that Head gives you a breadcrumb.
Not even AI. You can go and look up, create a new tab and
That's the
search,
director.
search what year
Move
did,
your mouse, nigga. Move it.
what year did Glasses Malone sign to Cash Money Records?
It always goes back to Glasses below.
Interesting.
I am ready to state for the record, I think the homie that told him to aim it a certain way was Glasses Malone, by the way. I'm just saying, for the record.
2011.
The
The exact same time that Kendrick and Drake met.
I was around for this whole thing. So
And Glasses has a very
The actress.
specific opinion about Drake and
Mm-hmm.
his hip hop. Resume.
I've been with G since 2005 or something like that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
yes.
at that time, were there rumblings around that time, like around 2011?
there was an opportunity for I don't want to.
for Glasses to.
There was an opportunity. Let me see something.
I wonder who he's getting on the phone with. Maybe Glasses Malone?
There was an opportunity for a record to happen that I advocated for,
Mm-hmm.
and it was passed on.
Mm.
And I was just like, yo, like, this would be a great look, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But he, because of a specific reason, passed on that record.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I wonder what the reason was. Maybe Glasses Malone didn't respect the way Drake was moving in the industry. Maybe Glasses Malone saw Drake taking verses from people and that didn't sit right with him. And then Glasses Malone being tight with not only Kendrick Lamar, but all of the members of TDE, he tells him, hey, you're going on tour with this guy. You might not like him, and you might not like the way that he moves. And then Kendrick sees exactly what Drake does, and he has a huge problem with that because of the way that how Kendrick treats the craft, how much care Kendrick puts into his art, and how unserious Drake takes it.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Jeremy's about to do a 17-minute video.
Well,
about
actually,
this.
Elliot, I'm actually on the year 2011 in my Big 3 breakdown
there you
available
go.
on
See
my
how it works
YouTube
out,
right now.
Jeremy?
So technically, I need this information for
I didn't
that
watch the
video.
2010 one yet. Am I in it? You said I might be in one of these soon?
No, you're gonna be in
2012, 2013?
I have watched a lot of Jeremy's content in the last couple days preparing for this video. I will say he does a fantastic job.
in this one.
I did a lot,
2011.
Jeremy.
You did a
I
lot.
was there with these
and
guys.
you guys both.
And it should be noted, they're on Up Rocks. They do a show called The Bigger Picture. Their job, because they have both Kendrick fans watching the show and Drake fans watching the show, their job, if they want to keep drawing a paycheck, is to keep both camps engaged. So it's not going to be Kendrick leaning or Drake leaning. What they're going to do is they're going to find my content, present it in a way that is appeasing to both sides, and play the middle. That is their job. But they're also speaking on it in a way that, to this point, hasn't been negative. DJ Head has, I would say that if anyone on this show, Head probably has the most inside access to know who's the one on the show who's truly in the know. He could have said, Jeremy, this is the stupidest theory of all time. At any point. In the 15 minutes they dedicated to the Poetic Justice Theory, Head could have been like, this is the stupidest thing. We don't even need to waste time. No, Kendrick Lamar didn't write that. No, it didn't happen like that. But he never did that. And they all spent 15 minutes talking about the theory because there's legs to it. And you know how I else know that there's legs? It's because the other side has already started spinning a narrative saying these are the clips that prove the poetic justice theory doesn't exist. Nowhere in this, nowhere did they say that this is wrong or that this theory has no legs.
It's crazy to see.
These little rambunctious rappers.
If anything, they give you more context clues that confirm it.
I texted Rob Markman that song yesterday.
I tried to get approval to tell the story.
That is always trying to get approval.
Well,
I'm just not. But so there was a record. I was like, we should do this. We should do the record. We should do the record.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know, cuz. And I was like, why not? He was like, bro, but I fuck with him. Like, I fuck with him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like,
because I bet you Drake is a nice guy to like go out and party with. I bet you he picks up the tab. He's got a lot of money. You could go out and have a beer with Drake, and I bet you he's a nice guy. But do you want to get on a track and rap with him? Probably not, especially if you take the craft seriously. And then, it just makes me think about the Pete Davidson element of all this. Pete Davidson has an interview where he's talking, I think he's on like a radio show, and he's talking about how Drake is the greatest actor of all time because he's a Canadian playing an American rapper, and it's a lifelong role for him. So you just have to keep in mind, like, there have been people talking about this man, the way he moves, how it doesn't sit right with them, how they can kind of see through it, and the media just kind of still sides with Drake, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why? Because the record industry wants to protect their investment.
That's as far as I'm
But
going.
didn't a very recent reference leak for Drake with who's the guy he said
Beam.
Beam?
Yeah.
The Beam needs to ride with you, whatever he said.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, as a Drake fan, Jeremy, and I think I'm still a Drake fan.
Yeah, I am too.
I always hate when a kind of reference comes out. It's kind of heartbreaking a little bit.
It hurts.
To me. It hurts.
The recent ones don't really hurt me as much. But I will say the first time I was ever, quote unquote, hurt as a hip hop fan was when I heard the Quentin Miller.
Yeah, because being a fan of hip hop is being a fan of not only the way that these guys present these lyrics, but their writing ability, right? Like, that is a big majority of hip hop is your ability to write these words. It's you. You are presenting your viewpoint. So when the reference tracks come out about Drake, yeah, of course it affects Drake fans like this. These are two open Drake fans saying that it hurts them when they hear these reference tracks because he doesn't take the craft seriously. It hinders their ability to like the guy's music.
Reference tracks.
When he gives you 10 bands.
You didn't know about that
bands.
before that?
No, I had no. Keep in mind, I'm in
10
Canada. I have no access to
Understood.
the industry. Like, I'm just like a fan nerding out on my computer. I have no clue. And I'm advocating for this guy as the guy too. Like, that's my, like, he's Canadian. Like, and so to hear those, that was the first time I was hurt.
And Head says, like, we can rewind the clip. He says it right here. He's like, you didn't know? Listen.
Me as much. But I will say the first time I was ever, quote unquote, hurt as a hip hop fan was when I heard the Quentin Miller reference tracks.
When he gives you 10 bands.
You didn't know about that
bands.
before that?
No, I had no.
You didn't know about that before that?
Keep in mind, I'm in
10
Canada. I have
bands.
no access
Understood.
to the
He's giving
industry.
you
Like,
context
I'm just like
clues.
a fan nerding out on my computer. I have no clue. And I'm advocating for this guy as the guy too. Like, that's my, like, he's Canadian. Like, and so to hear those,
I understand that, but that your guy, like, and I don't know if Jeremy still views him as the guy, but that guy can't be the guy because that guy takes from other rappers. He works with them, adopts their style, blood sucks all the good material out of them, and then moves on to the next. That's why he doesn't have an official sound.
that was the first time I was hurt. I was still championing right after when he came back with Back to Back. I was like, okay, fuck the reference tracks. I don't care.
And call me crazy, but Kendrick going Back to Back, I like that record. It makes me think of, I think he's saying, like, I think I like that record because he knows that was also ghostwritten by someone. And maybe when he says your best work is a light pack, he's talking about maybe Daylight ghostwriting Back to Back. Just saying. I don't know. Could be wrong on that. That could be a reach, but that's just what my take from that.
He rapped this. I believe he wrote this. He's still my guy. But yeah. So okay.
10 bands, 100 bands.
50 bands.
50, my bad.
So what I want to get into next, though, and again, like I said, they had 15 minutes to dispel the poetic justice theory. They didn't. If anything, they added more context clues as to why we are right and why we're on the right track with all of this. And what else? I found this article, this complex article, and I wanted to present it today because it adds more context clues as to the true meaning and the true message behind poetic justice. So Complex came out with this article October 23rd, 2012, the day after Good Kid, Mad City gets released. You can pause and read here, but I'll just read a little excerpt from it. But basically, the article is calling him King Kendrick. He is being compared from everyone from Bob Dylan to John Coltrane, and the hype around Kendrick Lamar is very real the day after Good Kid, Mad City gets released. But this Complex article, I will drop the link in the description below so you guys can do your own research on this to, see that I'm not full of shit. What the Complex article does is a deep dive, not only into Good Kid, Mad City, the album, but they go track by track and they ask everyone who had a hand in the album, Kendrick, Mixed by Ali, Punch, what their thoughts are on these certain tracks. And this is Kendrick Lamar in his own words about poetic justice. He says, if you listen to Poetic Justice, it's a song about a chick saying these legs are poems. On the back end of that is really the Sharan joint. So it's a dedication song for Sharan. And then going into Good Kid and Mad City, which completes the story. When I see that, I think to myself, like he's saying, like, it's a song about a chick saying these legs are poems. But like, what do we know about Kendrick? Whenever he references a woman, ain't no bitch like my bitch because that bitch been my pen, he's using a woman as a metaphor or an entendre or a euphemism for hip hop, for rap, for writing, the craft. So what I kind of take away from that is like he's saying it's a song about a chick saying these legs are poems. So like he's saying like there's bars in these legs, there's lines, there's gold mines in these lines, right? Like coming back to what he says on Poetic Justice. And on the flip side of that, it's about Sharan. And then if you really stop and think about who Sharan is, Sharan, in my opinion, in my interpretation of the lyrics, I kind of look at Sharan as the industry version of hip hop. And we got that from Hollis King. I want to give proper attribution. Hollis King dropped a comment on YouTube saying like Sharan is just the industry version of hip hop. And that is the perfect way to describe it, right? Like, and if you go back to The Heart Part 3, Kendrick says, cold game, they set Sharan up, they set her up. So when he's really talking about there, it's a dedication song to the industry. Why? Because he hit a lick on the industry. He hit a lick on your favorite rapper. He got your favorite rapper on record dissing themselves. So just kind of keep all of that in mind as we move forward. But he continues to say, me and Drake had been working for a while off the fact that I was on his tour and I was on Take Care. When we were talking about which joints we wanted to do, Scoop shot me the track, and I immediately came up with the concept of doing that vibe. And the first person I had in mind was Drake. Drake killed it, and it came out crazy. Nowhere does he praise his writing ability. Nowhere does he praise, his turnaround time. Like, hey, I shot it. He wrote the verse. Like, he's an incredible lyricist. Nowhere. It should also be noted that when he says, like, me and Drake had been working for a while off the fact that I was on his tour and I was on Take Care, nowhere does he say that he's friends with this guy. Nowhere. Nowhere does he allude to, like, hey, me and Drake, we were on the road together. We got really close. Like, that's my dog. Nowhere. Nowhere. Because he walked this man down the whole time. And he continues to say, I immediately came up with the concept of doing that vibe, and the first person I had in mind was Drake. Drake killed it, and it came out crazy. I think it's going to sit for a while. Falling from a money tree, and it grows throughout the month. Spit a loogie at the camera, speeding off. Yeah, it's us. The man set this dude up from the jump. And if you don't believe me, Look at the Punch quote. The Punch quote from the same article. We started recording that a while before he actually laid the vocals. That was probably one of the more difficult records because we knew that people would love that record and it could possibly be a smash because they were hoping people got it. They were hoping that people saw what they did to him. Oh my God. So it took a while before we could get the right approach. We were in New York and he recorded the first verse and the hook. When we got back to LA, he finished it. Then he rearranged it. Then we put Drake on it. It took months to get that song finished because they were working on this plan. They were setting this dude up from the jump. We're definitely, and Punch continues to say, and this is very damning, we're definitely not using Drake just because he's Drake. The song sounds like Drake's lane. The song sounds like Drake. It sounds like Drake's lane. We're definitely not forcing him on it at all. That's how Kendrick works. If it fits the song, then it's whatever. But just because you're a superstar doesn't mean you're right for this record. So it was a conscious decision to get Drake for that song. Everything was intentional. They set this dude up. And now now I see a group of friends. Think about it, like if you ever seen like Ocean's 11, it's a group of friends just trolling they're outside the Bellagio after they robbed it. They're trolling them. Like they hit a lick and they're trolling this guy in the media. Quote from Mixed by Ali. Ali says, we were playing songs for Drake and Kendrick. We were playing songs for Drake. And Kendrick just knew he wanted to get him on there, talking about Poetic Justice. Drake and OVO and all of them is like family. So as soon as they heard that, it was all love. As soon as they heard, like, hey, everything's good over here, just send us the verse back, it was good. Because that's what Drake does. As soon as we sent it to them, he sent it right back. And I would bet my entire platform, that there is a Kendrick reference track out there for Poetic Justice. And Drake raps it bar for bar, word for word, in the exact cadence that Kendrick sent him. I would bet my platform that there is a reference track. So as soon as we sent it to them, he sent it right back. No mentioning of writing, no praising his writing ability, nothing. Just we sent it to him and he sent it right back. Everything we are doing is organic and we have to make it feel that way throughout the record. So if Drake is on there, it's because Kendrick felt that his voice needed to be on there. Voice, not his pen. It's important to note that words mean something, especially when we are living in the age of spin. And speaking of spin, here is a spin article from 2017. I found this article and I thought it was relevant for today because Kendrick is talking about some pretty deep stuff on here. I want you guys to be able to, just kind of read it yourself. So I am going to link this as well. Kendrick Lamar talks Damn, ghostwriting, and whack artists in a brand new interview that came out when Damn was coming out. The article starts, just background on Damn, background on Kendrick Lamar, but the interviewer asks, is it ever okay for a rapper to have a ghostwriter? You've obviously written verses for Dr. Dre yourself. Kendrick Lamar, in his own words, says, it depends on what arena you're putting yourself in. I called myself the best rapper. I cannot call myself the best rapper if I have a ghost writer. Full stop. If you're saying you're a different type of artist and you don't really care about the art form of being the best rapper, then so be it. Make great music. But that title, it won't be there. Period. He has been very vocal about his thoughts on rappers having ghostwriters. Why? Because he was a ghostwriter for one of your favorite rappers once upon a time. The article continues. Lamar ends Element by proclaiming, it's a difference between black artists and whack artists, but what exactly is a whack artist? Kendrick Lamar, in his own words, says, I love that question. How would I define a whack artist? A whack artist uses other people's music for their approval. We're talking about someone that is scared to make their own voice, chases someone else's success and their thing, but runs away from their own thing. That's what keeps the game watered down. Everybody is not going to be able to be a Kendrick Lamar. Full stop. I'm not telling you to rap like me. Be you. Comes back to, I want to see bars. Everybody's going to have their own style, and that's okay. Be you. Simple as that. I watched a lot of good artists go down like that because you're focused on what numbers this guy has done, and it dampers down your own creativity, which ultimately dampers the listener, because at the end of the day, it's not for us. It's the person driving to their 9-to-5s that don't feel like they want to go to work that morning. He cares about you, the listener. He cares about the craft. And that was said back in 2017, almost 8 years ago. What else do I got? I got the Pusha T reference I got to get into as well, because I've talked about this several times, and some of you guys have reached out and saying, hey, can you elaborate more on the Pusha T reference? Sure. I do think that Pusha T and Malice know about Poetic Justice. I think that there are certain artists out there who know about this and have referenced it. Pusha T being one of them. When he goes at Drake, when he and Drake had their feud, he says towards the end of the song in Infrared, how could you ever right these wrongs when you don't even write your songs? But let's all play along. We all know what fellas for real been waiting on. Push. That is a call back to Poetic Justice. Because if you are someone who takes the craft seriously and you are in the know, people have been referencing this for a long time. This reference, came out in 2018, I believe? Hang on, let me see. Yeah. Came out in 2018. Sorry, my eyes are bad. My eyes are getting bad as I get older. But there is one reference from 2013 that went over everyone's heads. And it's an Eminem reference off the song Bad Guy. Eminem says on the first verse, and again, Eminem is one of those prolific writers. Arguably, if you have Kendrick as your number one writer because of the Poetic Justice thing, that's fine. Then Eminem is in second. And when it comes to writing in his pen, he is ridiculous. That whole first verse is a double entendre and a coded message to Kendrick Lamar. I don't have time to read the whole first verse off of Bad Guy. You guys can go and read it. But basically, he's saying to Kendrick Lamar, what you're about to go through, because the industry got involved and whacked out your art, what you're about to go through is tougher than anything I ever have suffered. And then going out of that bar, he goes into this. Can't think of a better way to define poetic justice. Can I hold grudges? Mind saying, let it go, fuck this. Heart saying, I will, once I bury this bitch alive, hide the shovel, then drive off into the sunset. That is a direct reference to Poetic Justice, where Eminem is tipping his cap to Kendrick Lamar, saying, hey, I see you, and I can't think of a better way to define it. Because you did. You did hit a lick on the industry. You did get their favorite rapper to diss themselves on a song. That is insane. That is insane. Can't think of a better way to define Poetic Justice. Can I hold grudges? Mind saying, let it go, fuck this. Heart saying, I will. Coming back to the Heart Part 3, where he says, Kendrick Lamar says, I never thought your favorite rapper would want a verse. Who's your favorite rapper? It was Drake. I will once I bury this bitch alive. A Buried Alive reference. That's Eminem at his wordsmith best. Not only tipping his cap to Kendrick Lamar, but giving him a coded message the same way that Kendrick coded a message to you, the listener, when he got Drake to diss himself. And I'm going to show you guys the timeline one last time. And that perfectly lines up. So everything happens with, from the Complex article on down, it's all highlighted. Eminem releases that track in November of 2013. So he would have known. He's in the Interscope camp. He's in the Dr. Dre camp. And then it should be noted that at one point, just after Good Kid, Mad City drops, Eminem is in the studio with Kendrick Lamar, and he kicks everybody out. He kicks everyone out of the studio because Eminem wants to see, is this for real? Can you actually write something? Are you this prolific of a writer? And within 45 minutes, Kendrick had his whole verse for Love Game, which is on Eminem's album, the Marshall Mathers LP2 later on in the album. And then from there on out, Eminem has been steadfast. Like, Kendrick Lamar is insane. Kendrick Lamar is one of the best lyricists of all time, next to him. So all of that just kind of needs to be said and caught up on. What else? Do I have any housekeeping orders? Producer is shaking her head no. Did we do good? How are we on time? Good? 30 minutes? Cooked? All right. I got to go take care of my dad. You guys have a great day.